Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about date fields. On the screen you see the date parts that are used by Tableau. Second in single quotation mark means seconds. Minute in single quotation mark means minutes. And you can see the permissible values as well. There are several interesting date functions in Tableau, but first let's look at how Tableau breaks down the dates. Individual elements of a date, such as the month and year, can be referenced by date functions with the string argument date_part. It can be useful to have some familiarity with these options because many different date functions require you to specify exactly which part of the date is affected by the calculation in question. You can choose between two options for some date parts. This is because different conventions exist to define these calendar units. The calendar defined by the international standard ISO 8601, which covers the format of time and date-related data, is based on, but slightly differs from, the traditional Gregorian calendar. The traditional Gregorian calendar defines the start of the first week of the year as January 1st. Regardless of what day of the week that is. If January 1st is a Wednesday, then week 1 goes from Wednesday until the coming Tuesday. Week 2 starts on the next Wednesday and so on. The ISO 8601 standard, on the other hand, defines week 1 of the calendar such that it always falls on a Monday and has at least 4 days in January. So it can start in December of the previous year as well. For example, should January 1st fall on a Friday, then week 1 starts on Monday, January 4th. So let's look at some date calculations on Tableau. The dateAdd function adds a specified time interval to a specific date. To define the interval, you specify both the date part, for example day, and the length. Use cases for this formula include reference lines in time series charts as well as filters based on this modified date. For example, if you assume that an order has a delivery time of 3 days, you can calculate the delivery time from the order date using dateAdd function. For this reason, we will create a calculated field and we call this as delivery time. And we use dateAdd function. In the parentheses, day is the date part and 3 days after order date. Now apply and OK. So you see here we have a new dimension called delivery. You can go to data source and then check delivery time here. Conversely, to find the number of days between two dates, you can use the dateDiff operator. dateDiff returns an integer value reflecting the time elapsed as measured by the specified date part. Date part in this case can be days, months, quarters, etc. The resulting measure or dimension can be useful in various scenarios. For example, let's say you want to find out the number of days that have passed since an order was placed. You can use the dateDiff function. Let's create a new calculated field and call it days pass. And now we are going to use dateDiff function. And here we want to count the number of days passed. And we will use the order date for our reference date. And next, we want to calculate how many days after order date until today. And then OK. Now we have a date pass measure here. We can go and check and find out. So you can see the days pass column here. Next, we want to talk about how to extract date parts from date fields. So in order to do that, we are going to create calculated fields and we will use datePart function. Datepart returns the value of the specified date part as an integer. This can be useful for calculations based on individual components of dates. Imagine, for example, that you want to report financial numbers only for the second half of the year. You can create half years field and use it to filter your data. To do so, you first need to know the months in which order were placed, in which case we will use datePart function. Let's create one calculated field and then name it as month. And now we will use datePart function. And inside the date part, we will extract month. And we will extract month from order date data. And then OK. And now you see we have a new measure called month. For instance, the order date February 5th, 2019 will return the number 2. This result can then be used in the formula for your new calculated field. Let's see one example how we can use this formula. We are going to create another calculated field. And now in this case, using the date part operator in a calculation, we will differentiate between the first and the second halves of the year. Let's say here, halves of the year. And now we will use if function, if date part month, and we look at order date is less than 7, then first half of the year else second half of the year, and then end. So let's apply and then click OK. And let's go to the data source. And you see we created a new dimension, and it's either first half of the year or second half of the year. And you can also see the month here. 11 represents November and so on. So these are some date functions that you can use with Tableau. Thank you for watching this video.